Hey there, my name's Curtis Lucas, and you're watching Empire Building. I just want to start by saying Happy New Year to everyone. We made it through 2020. That is a year for the record books. I really think that the events of this last year are going to have a lasting, profound impact on our society as a whole for generations to come. But I'm not going to dwell on that too long because in this video, I really want to talk about what to expect in the year to come. On January 1st, 2022, I plan to look back at this video when we have the benefit of hindsight on our side. But I'm not here to make predictions about stock prices or the price of Bitcoin or anything like that. There's something far more serious that I want to talk about. So listen carefully. A lot of people watching this video right now are going to lose a lot of money. This is going to happen. It's inevitable. It happens all the time, every time. Some will lose money during the bull market. There are so many ways to make mistakes that will cost you dearly. And I can see these mistakes already starting to play out. It does have me more than just a little bit concerned because this truly is an incredible opportunity that unfortunately some will just never be able to truly benefit from. And for some, it will wreck them. Over the coming year, there are going to be many channels that are going to pop up, all covering this sector. And most of them are going to make all kinds of claims that they know the next stock that's going to pop. They know when you should buy, when you should sell. They're going to know exactly what price it's going to top out at before you should sell and leave. I'm never going to tell you that. That is not my strategy. The focus of my channel is something else altogether. There's a reason why I called it Empire Building. My goal is to use the opportunity that's in front of us to raise a significant amount of capital that I will then utilize to build something for my future. So the focus of my attention is not on the daily movements or weekly or even monthly movements of these stocks. I don't actually care. So when one stock is up and the other's down, there's always decisions that you can make. Sometimes those decisions will be the right ones. Sometimes they'll be the wrong ones. But if you actually think that you stand any significant chance of timing these things and knowing which one is going to run, which one's going to fall behind, as we've already seen, they don't run together. They never will. This could provide us with opportunities, but for most people, it's just going to be a source of frustration, especially once they realize that if they had done nothing at all, they would have been better off. Given enough time, that is almost always the case. And the sad part is, this opportunity is so incredible that you really don't have to do any of that. Mine is most definitely primarily a buy and hold strategy. But I myself, even right now, I will admit, haven't taken the most responsible approach. But I am patient enough to let my thesis play out. In doing so, there are other opportunities that I certainly miss out on. But it's worth noting that this isn't the first time that's happened to me. Now that the year is complete, I'm going to share with you exactly how things played out for me because there were many lessons I learned throughout this entire year. Some of you may be just entering now, some of you may have gotten in before this last run. But if you have just recently arrived, then you face a serious problem. You don't have the benefit of knowing what it's like to suffer through the hard times in these stocks. You may be feeling pain for being down in a position, maybe 20 or 30% for a couple of weeks. I've been in these stocks since 2017. 3 years of pain and suffering. 3 years of educating myself. And even now, I still won't get it right. But I don't have to. That's what I've learned. The opportunity is so great, I don't have to time anything. Here's the other problem you face. You're going to make a lot of money in a very short period of time, even if you follow the buy and hold strategy. But in the back of your mind, the entire way, you're going to be asking yourself, when do I sell? When do I sell? Is it now? You're going to be terrified that the rug is going to get pulled up from under you at any time. But here's the thing. The story doesn't end after you sell. Even if you do time it perfectly, the story does not end. This experience that we are about to go through is going to plant a seed inside of your mind. And you're going to realize that if you could do that once, what if you could do it again? This is going to have a fundamental impact on your mindset for the rest of your life. This is the part that scares me. Because after this story unfolds, where will you go next? You only have to read posts on the subreddit Wall Street Bets a few times to realize this story has played itself out over and over and over and over again. People have made millions of dollars off individual trades, only to lose it all again, trying to replicate that success. There are very few times that I have had the kind of conviction I have right now, simply because I've spent an enormous amount of time researching this technology. This, in my opinion, is the most incredible opportunity of the last century. You're never going to replicate this again. This is why I spend a great deal of time developing an appropriate mentality, and also the importance of actually understanding what it is you're getting involved with. Despite the fall in the price of Mara shares over the last week or so, my account is still up 47.74% in the month of December. The value of my account grew $150,000 or so, but it reached its peak on December 22nd at about $628,000. So I've lost approximately $140,000 over the span of a week. But I'm certainly not fazed by this because I've learned a very important lesson. One of the most important things you can do is let opportunities pass you by. You don't have to swing at every single ball that comes your way. This isn't baseball. You don't just get 4 balls. This was an analogy put forth by Warren Buffett where he says that this is an incredible game where you get to choose only the balls you want to swing at. You don't have to swing at every single one.
Ted Williams wrote a book called The Science of Hitting, and in it he had a picture of himself at bat and the strike zone broken into, I think, 77 squares. And he said if he waited for the pitch that was really in his sweet spot, he would bat 400, and if he had to swing at something on the lower corner, he would probably bat 235. And in investing, I'm in a no-called strike business, which is the best business you can be in. I can look at 1,000 different companies, and I don't have to be right on every one of them or even 50 of them. So I can pick the ball I want to hit. And the trick in investing is just to sit there and watch pitch after pitch go by and wait for the one right in your sweet spot. And if people are yelling, swing you bum, ignore them. There's a temptation for people to act far too frequently in stocks simply because they're so liquid. Over the years, you develop a lot of filters. And I do know what I call my circle of competence. So I stay within that circle, and I don't worry about things that are outside that circle. Defining what your game is, where you're going to have an edge, is enormously important.
This actually puts the odds in your favor, but it takes discipline not to swing. Let me show you exactly what I mean. At the beginning of 2020, my account balance was $30,737.52. Throughout the early part of the year, nothing much changed, nothing much happened. It was quite boring and highly uncertain. Nobody really knew if Bitcoin was really ever going to recover. But I had already spent the previous 2 years studying it in great detail. My only focus was on accumulation and on education. And then COVID happened, and everyone knows what followed. The markets plunged. I remember watching that the night Bitcoin dropped all the way down below $4,000. I had actually begun to re-enter my Riot position in late 2019 at about $2.20, only to see that number drop. And it dropped, and it dropped. I can remember my account dropping nearly 80% of its original investment. But this never fazed me, because I understood what this technology was. So when the opportunity presented itself and I managed to get my hands on just a little bit more money, I made my move. I definitely overextended myself. That was the risk taker in me. But it was pretty clear this was a moment of maximum fear. So I took my swing, and the timing turned out to be nearly perfect. But I certainly did not know that at the time. But here's the thing. I made my move into Riot back then. There was no announcements. There was no known plans for what they were about to do next. I knew they were committed to this technology, And I believe that so long as they could survive, eventually they'd find their way through. But at the same time I made that move, I had also considered making an investment in a company called Overstock. I won't get into the details of this company, but many of you are probably fully aware of it. They sell furniture online, which turned out to be a great business model at the time, but that company had suffered through a lot of negative press to do with its former CEO. But again, maybe a topic for another video. I had considered purchasing that stock at $2.56 or so, but I chose Riot instead. By August, that stock was worth over $120. It had gone up 45 times its original value. For those keeping track, that's 4,500% in 5 months. By comparison, Riot had done okay, but it had only gone up about 4 or 5 times. So yeah, imagine how that felt. But I stuck with it. And there were many times when it might have felt like this party could be coming to an end. There had still been no announcements like we have today. No clear direction on what was going to be happening next. And Bitcoin was struggling to maintain itself above $10,000. But I held and continued to hold. As of now, my personal rate of return for all my combined accounts for the entire year of 2020 was 1,091%, netting me a gain of $434,444.69. There were numerous other opportunities that if I had just timed it just right, that number could have been far greater. But you always have to remember, even if you do get those right, that is not where the story ends. Life goes on after that trade, and those wins have a psychological impact on your mentality and your decision making, making you more prone to fatal mistakes in the future. This is why you need an investment strategy and you need to check yourself. The reality is, yes, this opportunity is a fantastic one. And there will be other incredible opportunities, though none quite like this, in my opinion. But don't waste it. And don't believe that you're going to somehow magically time every single opportunistic trade. Because even if you do, and you blow it out of the water this entire year through, the story does not end there. And when the opportunity like this no longer exists, where will you go searching next? What will your expectations be? You are never going to hear me tell you when you should buy or when you should sell. I'm going to give you the information that I find. You are going to make your own decisions. You are also going to educate yourself. And with any luck, you'll find the empire you want to build for yourself. My advice is take this opportunity and use it to fuel whatever it is you want to do for the rest of your life. And if you truly appreciate this opportunity, you'll find a way to get involved with this technology, to get actual exposure, learning how to utilize it in your day-to-day life. I would recommend that if you own these stocks, you should own Bitcoin. You should learn how to use it. You should have a hardware wallet. You don't have to go all into it like myself and run a mining rig in your garage and self-host your own validator on Ethereum. I didn't even mention that, but my validator is now worth a little over $30,000 Canadian. My total cost on acquiring that Ethereum was about $8,000, but now it also generates income every second of every day. So far averaging out at about 15% annually. Over time, that's going to drop, but I also expect the value of that validator to continue to increase. So the point I'm making is that patience is required, and you are not going to time this, despite what you might believe. And even if you do, the story does not end there. You need to develop a sound investment decision process. We are going to be on a very wild ride, and when we reach the other side of it, life will go on. And this technology is still not going anywhere. I do expect there will at some point be a significant crash. I've suffered through one, I can certainly survive another. Anyone who bought Bitcoin in the 2014 bubble and never sold would certainly be sitting pretty well by now. The difference is they're going to be far better educated than anyone entering this space today. Imagine how much more educated you'll be than the people entering this space 10 years from now. Unfortunately, despite this message, there will be many who still make these mistakes. It is inevitable. It's human nature. But you get to decide which one you want to be. I have so much planned for this coming year, and for those of you who have already decided to join me on this journey, I thank you for your subscription. If you want to see more content like this, then hit that subscribe button and go ahead and give that like button just a little tap. It'll really help out the channel with the YouTube algorithm. But that's all for this one. Now let's get back to empire building. Bye.